Hello.
Don't want a battery. Don't want a laptop to be the thinnest module yet. I want a battery that will outlast the sun. Screen big enough to blind the people behind me. You want a disc reader writer? I used to subscribe to that kind of idea of like, oh, give me the beefiest, thickest boy you could get. I very much could have been something like that, Wild Saber, with my laptop. But like I already have like the main PC here. this big boy, like it's already a chunky boy. So like I don't need it. I don't need the laptop to try and be like a competitive gaming rig, because you know that's what the desktop is for. And because of the advent of the like I know I'm a little annoyed with like DLSS upscaling and such like that on like major PCs, but I do see the benefit in them in something like laptops or the Steam Deck, or you know whatever, you know, Ultrabook they're sometimes called. I can very much, you know, understand going for like, you know, that sort of, you know, real quick upscaling nonsense. So because of all that, it's like you can get thinner laptops. You don't need, you know, an 18-inch laptop with a 6-inch thick body. Like we don't need those anymore. It's not perfect till it has a dedicated liquid coolant fish tank. If I could have, like, I've seen someone do this as a project. I have seen someone create a PC in a fish tank for, and like the way they did it is they used like liquid, like they used like some sort of oil, like clear oil or something like that. So then that way all the components were submerged in the oil, and then that way it wasn't conductive, was the whole point. And you know, you could have the CPU like you can have whatever parts you needed, like spinning or otherwise, work in that scenario. Excuse me, nose. So I can get behind like different like you know, PC builds and what have you, but it's not going to be a I don't need that from a laptop. What I want from a laptop is something like I want something where it's like, if it's the only thing in the like that I need to carry, then and it not being like a thingamajiggy. Hi there, Capricious. Welcome. I'm glad to hear that your internet is totally fine and that there are no problems with your internet connection anymore. Welcome back. I'm so glad. Also, go for the Lenovo ThinkPad. Okay, the Lenovo ThinkPad is like, I do like desktop support, all that kind of nonsense, like, you know, in my, you know, full-time job and what have you. And I understand that the Lenovo ThinkPad is this, you know, number one, it's just, you know, everyone goes to the Lenovo ThinkPad for repairs, upgrade, or just longevity. But the Lenovo, like, unless you go for like the Lenovo like Carbon or something like that, it's like you're not going to get a ThinkPad that's going to be, you know, working in, you know, today's environment, unless you're just explicitly for, you know, being a programmer or something like that. You're watching a new interesting anime. It's called Snowball Earth. Comey Can't Communicate meets Gundam. Two kinds of animes I am not interested in seeing, Wild Saber, unfortunately. I've already got like other TV shows that I need to catch up on and what have you. So I don't get a lot of also, I'm in the middle of here streaming. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? It's by Toho, which do Goji. Oh, so Cap has heard of this as well. Cap, like, come on. I'm not gonna put time into an anime. Working a full-time job.
But apparently it's good.
You think it's good? You think Snowball? Wait, what was it called? Snowball Earth. You think Snowball Earth is good?
I said apparently it's good because I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh! And then there's a wall of text. A boy with social anxiety and can't communicate properly because he freaks out at a simple hello and he pilots some meta. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. There's a manga being released or something like that, of like some sort of exorcist, like, you know, supernatural like shonen anime or manga, and the opening premise was like, oh, this guy, like one of the most powerful exorcists around, is like, he's just terrible in social situations, and he's frightened all the time and everything. Like, I don't know what started an anime, whether it's because of Comey Can't Communicate or a silent voice, but I'm starting to notice like a sort of peeps have started like making their protagonists like, oh, here's one that doesn't know how to communicate or has like, excuse me, or like just gets social anxiety and such. Yeah.
Here's one with autism.
Yeah. Nah, Japan doesn't have autistic people.
I don't know.
They're not there
Gundam's
yet.
protagonist is canonically autistic.
Oh, are they? Okay. I honestly thought Japan was still in that era of like my son doesn't have ADD. He just liked to jump.
I mean, kinda, but also Camille Bidan, who is the protagonist of Zeta Gundam, canonically autistic, canonically the most powerful new type, and he's also just the fucking goat.
Yeah,
that's my goat right there. He's the best.
Hi there, Omega. Good evening. Welcome. Oh, I know it's May 4th, where it's like, you know, May the 4th be with you and all that kind of nonsense, but I did not have a clue if I wanted to play a Star Wars game while going through Monday and all that kind of nonsense. I did celebrate May the 4th be with you with Artemis Snap, my girlfriend, and we watched a little bit of Star Wars and New Hope.
Some Jedi robes on and started kissing.
Oh, we don't. I don't have Jedi. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I think I have like really cheap like Jedi like attire, but it's like the thinnest fucking cloak or what have you. It is terrible. It's like if you went to Spirit Halloween and they wanted to do like legally distinct homeless wizard. Oh, and also Artemis's robes are still packed away from their move, so they still need to do the They still need to do the needful of unpacking and organizing where everything is gonna go. So that's still on their thingamadiggy. So yeah. So, you know, May the 4th, cool celebration and such, and then, you know, and then the 5th strikes back, and then the return of the 5th. No, Revenge of the 5th, and then the Wait, is it Revenge of the? I thought it was Revenge of the 6th. Or is it because it's like, I think it's the 5th strike, like, oh, it's either May the 4th be with you, the 5th strikes back, and then Return of the 6th. Or Revenge of the 6th. I feel like the 6th has either the Return or the Revenge, because 6 sounds like Sith.
Let me get the wiki up.
This is why I have moderators, is not to moderate the chat and to, like, you know, tell people off when they go off script. Or not off script, but when they go off track. But it's more for, I need someone for VAing in my random video games, or they need to fact check me.
Hello.
Hello, 10 Mucks. Welcome. Could do Republic Commando. Here's the thing: is I have a lot of like if I go to my Steam library, I'm fairly sure I have a lot of Star Wars games. Like if I just type in Star Wars, I've got, not only do I have the complete saga, I then have the Lego Skywalker saga. I've got the classic Battlefront 2, the new Battlefront 2 from EA, where everyone like abandoned it because it, you know, it did the, you know, the, like through Icarus, they flew too close to monetization platforms and, you know, got burnt out from that. Empire at War, Dark Forces.
Commander have co-op?
I don't think it does. I think it was just like, you know, demonstrating like weird AI nonsense. Or not AI nonsense, but like, you know, it's single player. So yeah, I do have Republic Commando. I have Starfighter. I have the Clone Wars Republic. Why is Unnamed here? Unnamed, what the fuck are you doing? It is 3 in the morning. Don't you have to take like beauty sleep before you, like, you know, try and be a partner streamer? Do you know that the Unnamed Yeen, Unnamed 471, is trying to become a partner streamer?
So you should sub to them and follow them.
You should, chat. You should go sub at, like, ideally, most of the people that do know me know Unnamed more. You should go sub and follow the Unnamed Yeen, Unnamed 471. They were last playing Minecraft. I love how Unnamed's like, fuck you, Grant, and then Sly's like, fuck me, Grant. It's like, no, very different vibes. I can't do that.
I'm going to slide this into your DMs real quick.
Oh my god, what are you sliding into my DMs? Oh, that's fucking cool.
Fun.
No, that's cool. That's a poggers. I can't share that on stream, but that's a poggers. Good for you. I'll send it to I'll send it to my girlfriend Artemis, so she's in on the thing. Is that the GrantZeebs notorious for getting kicked out of? I didn't get kicked out of Texas, okay? I was too dope for the Texans there. I love the story of like I didn't bother like doing drinking and such like that at like in Dallas and such, but apparently like smoking up a joint. Oh yeah, I'll do that. And I did that in front of like a security guard or something like that. And and then like Unnamed is just sort of like nope, just turns around 180. They're just like I'm going away. I can't be here for this. And then they're just like and then they just go like. And then it's just like, boop, 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 boop. It was a cop. It was a security. I'm pretty sure it was a security guard. So yeah, well, damn. I wasn't going to jail over you. Why not, Unnamed? You don't think I would go to jail for you? You don't think I was risking getting deported for you?
Anyway, I just wanted to hop in and say hi.
Hi.
I'm going to bounce, probably draw more, and eat minestrone because it's minestrone night.
Ooh, sounds delicious. Well,
It is delicious.
I have some Final Fantasy XIVs to get into.
Have fun. Crazy ass patch.
Oh, you've already gone through the patch already?
Yeah, I got through it the day when my internet went out.
Ah, okay. You were like sort of blitzing through it before the internet was gone.
No, I didn't know the internet would be gone. I just blitzed through it because I wanted to blitz through it.
Ah, fair enough. Well, I did a little bit of level grinding in some of my random things. So like, my summoner is level 41, which means my scholar is as well. My monk is level 42. I got my ninja up. I want to try and get like a melee DPS up to level 90 or something like that. So then that way I can get like, the samurai, the reaper, the viper classes unlocked before we get into the next expansion. And then with the physical range DPS, I want to get them up to whatever it is required to get to dancer. And then the magic range.
You just get those, right?
I know, but it's like I want to like get the DPSing experience up and what have you, because like I want to be able to like grab these things and then make it so then that way I'm not holding on to earlier gear and what have you. Because if you look at my look at this shit. Look at all the hats that I have, and I don't want to get rid of any of them like immediately because I still have different classes that require them. I have healing classes that are still below level 50, and I want to try and get them up to level 70 so I can get rid of anything between below whatever.
I see what you're doing. Yeah. Makes sense.
So I'm trying to get the most bang.
I'm going to bounce. I'll catch you all.
All good. Thank you so much for coming along, Cap. I greatly appreciate it. We got to play more Final Fantasy at some point. It's gotten me addicted.
Indeed. I'll catch you later.
Catches. Also, saw a video that made you laugh. A father and daughter. You shared that already. You shared that back on Sunday when I was going through Pragmata, because basically, like, the kid saw Meowth hot air balloon, and they were just like, "Oh, Team Rocket's gonna get it." You already shared that. You gotta bring in new material. All right. In Fate's footsteps, Krill has a wistful glint in her eye. Oh boy. I trust you were able to get plenty of rest. Good. I thought we might take a moment to ponder our next steps and perhaps reflect on our recent journey. Actually, before I forget, here we go. Now I'm ready for Final Fantasy XIV, because I now wear my shirt of, did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV comes with an expanded free trial, allowing you to go through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and titillating Stormblood and player-favorited Shadowbringers expansion up to level 80 with no restrictions on playtime? Join us in Eorzea today. I shall wait. Yeah, actually, let me stand front and center for this thingy-madiggy. All right, let me just. So like this is the shirt right here, as you can see, and So it's like, you know, you got the award-winning, and then you got... Come on, you can do this. Hand, come on. I wish I could grab, and then just grab. All right. But yeah, did you know? God damn it! No, no, no! That is not fair! You told me you weren't going to take it! Oh, it wasn't even Artemis, it was Sir Dragon. Moving on. I must admit, my thoughts often drift to the Mist Continent and our stay in Treno. It was heartening to see that Milaula prospered despite the odds, and my own flesh and blood strive in that levin-racked landscape. Sveen was eager to restore diplomatic relations, and I have no doubt that Alexandria will prove much-needed support for their neighbor. I too shall do everything I can to aid my home away from home, my wonderful, welcoming family included. For the time being, though, I'd say we've accomplished all within our power. I need to change the attire of my my Viera. I suppose that just leaves the matter of preservation's reach. It is yet unclear how Calyx learned the techniques he used to summon his Dark Primal, and there is likewise much that remains unknown about the key. Let us hope that Shale's efforts bear more fruit. Was going to say, thirsty today, you are, but it was Dragon that swiped the shirt. Yeah. Yashnola is just, can you hear me? Shale and I have been reviewing the decrypted files and have uncovered some intriguing details. Would you care to join us? We'll be with you right away. Excellent. Shale seems rather eager to speak with you all. Come and find us in the Dotreo lab when you're ready. Uncanny timing indeed. Let us make for the containment complex. Yeah! God, Grahatia is my fave. He's an all-rounder in the duty roster as well, so whatever class you're playing as, he can play as an opposing class. He can play as either a healer, a DPS, or a tank. It's fantastic. Dun 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 dun. But yeah, this is what the attire looks like, and I haven't, like, you know, properly applied a new... Like, I not even got a glamour on the legs and the boots that I have, or the hands. I only have a glamour on the chest piece, on this thing here. Like, I wonder, can I... Do I have the thingy? Yes, I do. So I could desynth... where is it? Cast Glamour. There we go. So this is what I look like without, like, any gear. I look... It looks weird. Like, there's a lot of people who are not a fan of, like, the futurism, like, look of all, like, the belts and the straps and the pockets and such. Like, it ain't my thing, personally speaking, and I would love to come up with, like, a different sort of attire. Something that I think would fit well. So, heading for Containment Complex, right this way. Mm-hmm. Alright. Oh, there's a data terminal here. Courtesy of Shale's decryption efforts, the previously inaccessible research objective section is now available for perusal. Nice. I ain't gonna bother reading all that. I thought it would be like a one-time thing, not a, you know, massive thingamadoog. Alright, I think we're over here. So that's the crazy weird key thing that we got. So this tool here was used in order to open up like a a junction between like the 6th shard, I think, or something like that, over into the source, which is where we are. Hey, my shirt is back.
Just in time for a progress report.
Uh-huh.
The decryption is finally complete. As we suspected, the data represents a partial record of Preservation's research documents.
I was kind of hoping to voice this dialogue, but this is cool.
Files, however, failed to turn up the information Y'shtola was after.
Indeed. No mention of the Ascians, or primal summoning techniques for that matter. While Calyx doubtless received instruction from someone possessed of such knowledge, there was naught to identify this benevolent mentor. I am, however, pleased to say that we found several reports concerning the key.
Ooh, tell me more, tell me more. Did you put up a fight?
We know the key is used to open paths between worlds, and was a treasured relic of the Milala. And just as the Milala were unable to return after reaching the Mist Continent, so too was Preservation unable to gain a mastery of the prize which had passed into their possession. The data suggests that a particular formula or procedure is required. A process which Calyx appears to have understood to some degree. Yet the key proved fickle. Perfectly replicating conditions was no guarantee of success. And even when they did manage to generate a modest portal, the destination was never the one they expected. The reports practically screamed their frustration, describing the experience as being dragged around by a traveler picking roads without rhyme or reason. Serves them right, I say.
After much trial and error, Preservation began to experiment with external actuation devices for the key. Striving to maintain a stable pathway to a chosen location, they conceived of the technology that forms the gate to the Golden City.
So, their tribulations ultimately afforded them control of the key, albeit in a limited capacity, which, of course, explains why they were able to instruct Zoralja in its use, thus enabling the unprecedented feat of transferring Everkeep and its environs to the source. After the Endless Fiend took the key unto herself, she opened pathways to other reflections in her hunt for ether, did she not?
She did, but I don't think she got to other shards. She just got straight to ours.
Facilitate their exodus. To think what the key has now wrought in different hands.
For all we know, the actuation device augmented the key's power beyond its intended scope. Were your goal to plunder whole worlds of their ether, a tool designed to simply transfer people would likely be insufficient.
Shale, I don't suppose you would be able to remove the actuation device.
The machine made for that very purpose is still functional, thankfully. It shouldn't be a problem.
What do you think? We don't even know how the key works. If the device is somehow interfering or amplifying its capabilities, I believe we ought to remove it.
Agreed.
Give me a moment.
I'm guessing we're gonna get rid of the key that's that's inside that chalice. Because it looks like there's like a thing in it. Ooh, okay. That didn't look right because it's like, you know, clipping. You okay? Oh yeah, Y'shtola is blind, but she can like sense the aether. Hence why her eyes are like, you know, what do you see?
Y'shtola?
Hmm.
This is the first time I've beheld the key in all its unobscured glory. The sheer density is extraordinary. 'Tis akin to the structures we saw beneath the Tempest.
Now that you mention it, the ornamentation is reminiscent of Amarot.
Have you noticed anything since the key has been in your possession?
I barely remember that sequence. It reminds me of Azim's crystal. Yeah, I would probably do that. Azim is like the Ascian from the sword, or like back in the Unsundered, and we from the source are a fragment of Azim. So the crystal, like Azim's crystal during the events, during the events of Endwalker, was kind of used as the reason for, you know, why we're able to summon other warriors of light into our battles and what have you. So give me a second. I'm just waiting for the, like, I'm just gonna wait for the advertisements before I continue on with my, just in case people were... All right, we're out of advertisements. Awesome. Reminds me of Azim's crystal. Because the Azim crystal that we have is similar to some of the job crystals we have, so it's slightly different, but...
You're suggesting the key has some connection with Azim?
Uh,
A theory, although one we are yet unequipped to prove.
That wasn't the conclusion I was coming to, but...
My apologies.
It does feel like something that would have been like like possibly like before the Sundering and what have you, so...
Hello? Yes, this is Cryo speaking.
Hello, Cryo. This is this is your conscience. You need to talk to your parents, or actually not your parents, your aunt or your grandaunt.
That was Ojika with a message for us.
An urgent matter?
I'm not
Dun,
altogether
dun,
sure.
dun, dun.
Tataru requires our counsel, and hoped to call upon us in person at the Baldessian Annex.
Oh my gosh, we haven't seen Tataru in so long!
She appeared content to wait until our travels brought us back to Sharlayan, insisting that it did not merit our immediate summons. Her tone suggested otherwise, however, and Ojika felt compelled to contact us directly.
Mayhap the time has come for another journey across the salt.
God, there's so much content as well from like Shadowbringers and Endwalker that I have, or not, maybe not Shadowbringers, but from Endwalker that I haven't done as well. Like, I got an Alliance raid I gotta try and do.
Oh, Shale.
But we're gonna try and deal with patch 7.5.
Forever indebted to you and your Oblivion colleagues.
The debt is ours. We'll never forget the sacrifices you've made for us, for Alexandria. In the meantime, I shall keep sifting through the data. You'll hear as soon as I find anything of note.
Actually, I should like to stay here a little longer, if you don't mind.
You are most welcome.
And might I borrow the key for a while? I wish to study it further. With the utmost care, I assure you.
Sure. I don't see why not.
Well then, shall we be off? Ojika will be expecting us.
Dun, 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 ba. Trail to the heavens. Cue the title sequence. We'll know when we're at the end of this patch when we see that title again in one of the missions. Should be good. I have good hopes for this patch. Meow. Alright. So... oh my goodness, we have to go all the way to Old Charlian. Bing, dong. No, I won't bother using a ticket. I've got plenty of, I got plenty. Yep, so... this is Old Charlian. This is filled with a ton of fucking bookworms and just scholarly people. They are assholes. Because they decide to do the Swiss thing of being like, oh yes, we are going to be neutral into like... because, hang on a second, let me just... so they're up here. That's where they are. They're on like this random island here. And while, you know, the Garlean Empire was like breaking down into Eorzea here, the Northern Empty did not care that Eorzea was getting, like, you know, bamboozled by a fucking empire all the way up here. And they were like, we're not gonna, you know, deal with this kind of thing, despite the fact we know the Garlean Empire during our, like, you know, expeditions out from the Northern Empty and over into here is gonna be problematic because the last time we were, like, over in the Dravinia, they, like, fucked around with some of our bases and shit. But we don't think it's important to join the Eorzean alliance because, you know, we're trying to remain neutral into our conflicts and shit. There's a library over there, and this is where the students congregate and shit. Also, this is like my little wind-up Zidani. Let me change the mount. Not the minion. All right, we got... I think that's a wind-up Kefka? Let's change you again. Little Bambi deer thing. A wide-eyed fawn. Yep, let's go with you. You can even get a red panda. Welcome back, and what a pleasure it is to see you too, Grant. Thank you for contacting us, Ojika. We came as soon as we could. Of course. I find it prudent given how troubled Tataru was. Your concern is much appreciated. As it so happens, we've reached a convenient juncture in our investigation. Shale and Y'shtola have matters well in hand, leaving us free to make this trip. Hi there, stubborn sparrow. Red panda? Yeah, I'll show you the red panda, alright? Dink. That's a relief to hear. Now, let me fetch Tataru for you. Why don't you take a moment to relax in the main hall? I'm sure you're all still fatigued from your journey. I literally just teleported here. I didn't do that much traveling. I literally just was like, boom, boom. Anyway, let me show you. Where is it? Not the ready check. So, I have 140 different minions. I have minions upon minions. Like, so many of them. Like, you wouldn't believe. Like, look at this. So we got a wind-up alpha. Hey there, Savage. Welcome, welcome. So we got this little bird. We got this little guy right here. He's just a tiny chocobo named Alpha. I've got a wind-up cursor where it's literally, like, look at this guy. It's just a fucking cursor. It's so silly. And then, let's see. We got, so there's the wind-up, we got Enkidu, which is a green rooster from, like, Gilgamesh stuff. But you were interested in the red panda. Hang on a sec, hang on a sec. Where is it? Oh, this is one of my faves, is the cactar. Look at this little guy. Look at him. Look at him. He's just so silly. Look at him. He's just a silly little cactar. All right. Oh, little kitty. Cat, as you can see. All right, so it's on page 1. We got all the different wind-up nonsense. Here it is. There they are. That is a panda. Also, let me just go into G pose. There they are. There's your panda. So yeah, there's all kinds of like fun little things. And then we got like Tubi, the smaller stubby. We got a Palico. We got a lot of different things. All right. All right. We got to go into the main hall real quick. Meow 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 meow. So yeah, so that's like an old. This is an old map of Eorzea, the Garlean Empire, and then the East. I can't remember what this place was called. And then this is an expanded upon map because we got Yogg-Turel and Zok-Turel over here, which is basically just North and South America, but they did like a rotation. And then all the way down here is Fantasy Australia, which we haven't gone to yet. We have not yet gone to Fantasy Australia.
Planning your next journey?
Oh no, just reminiscing. Thinking back to when you bought this map, and how you all encouraged me to make the voyage to Tural.
Are you glad you did?
As if you need ask.
And then that's Tataru. She is basically the money. She's the money bags of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Wonderful to see you again, Tataru.
I'm so glad you're here.
She's like an omni crafter as well.
Contacted us. He intimated that you were rather concerned. Come to think of it, Alphino said he and Alize would pay you a visit upon their return. Have you not seen them?
Oh no, they were here. I was regaled with many a tale of your Turali adventures. It was only once they departed for Garlemord that the rumors came to my attention. Rather alarmingly, void-sent sightings seem to be on the rise across the star.
Oh, that's not good. That means the 13th shard is not being...
To bother you with mere hearsay, especially when you had more pressing matters to contend with. But earlier I received a confidential report from the Grand Company of Eorzea. It's as if a mighty dam has been breached, flooding the land with foul creatures.
Oh, that's not good at all.
Most nations have managed to keep the invaders in check, and casualties appear to be minimal thus far. Though the same cannot be said for those regions with a deeper connection to the void. Their fissures continue to manifest without end.
Hi there, Davy boy. Final Fantasy.
A deeper connection to the void.
We're just getting started with patch 7.5.
The Reapers, is it not? It is. Alphino and Alize were there when the trouble began, and have since sent word that the situation has taken a dreadful turn.
A short while earlier in Tertium. Also, this is Garlemald. You know, it's really cold. Imagine Fantasy Russia or Fantasy Poland or just any Eastern European country.
Thus concludes
Yes.
an abridged account of our time in Tyral. Now I shall leave you with the words of the late Dawn Servant, Galul Jajar. Ignorance begets strife. Understanding begets fellowship.
Nice.
A notion that rings true for Eorzeans no less than it does for the diverse peoples of Tuliolal.
And for Garleans as well. Even sharing something as simple as a local dish can pave avenues of understanding. It's up to all of us to forge new bonds together.
Thank you for sharing your tale. Better they hear it firsthand than endure my clumsy retelling.
Oh yeah, he used to be like a
Your word
lieutenant or something.
that we might achieve something similar here in Garlemald.
We all have the capacity to affect change. Our time in Tyral taught us that much. And now that we've returned, it's time we rolled up our sleeves and got back to work.
I've already sent missives to the other nations, informing them of our Alexandrian friends. I also intend to notify the Garlean community officially. If both sides are amenable to the proposition, we shall gladly assist in establishing diplomatic relations with Alexandria and Tuliolal.
Actually, I just realized, Artemis, have you gone through the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, or is this like your first experience of it all?
Journey. It sounded like you've hardly had time to catch your breath.
You only ever played Final Fantasy X. Ooh. I highly recommend Final Fantasy XIV. Granted, this game is like 10 plus years old, but the community is really good with like avoiding spoilers and what have you. Granted, watching this stream, you're probably gonna get spoiled on some shit, but you won't get people spoiling the game for you as you go through it narratively. Because you have to go through A Realm Reborn and then go through each of the expansions. You can't just, well, technically you can, but you have to pay a story skip to do it. But you can't skip to like the preferred expansion or the latest release expansion. You have to have gone through the earlier expansions because it's all like narrative.
The Garlean community is ill-equipped to defend themselves against such a threat. Even with the aid of the twins and the Ilzabard contingent, they face daunting odds.
Sounds like a lot, maybe an after semester 2 game. Yes. It took me like 3 years to get through it, like with a modest amount of pacing of like 4 hours a week. But that was because I was like reading all the voice lines and doing all kinds of VAing. So you could probably get it through quicker than 3 years if you didn't, you know, if you weren't like me fucking around with voice lines and, you know, lax. I've been told Alphino and Alize have withdrawn to Tertium to request aid on the front lines. They seem intent on rejoining the battle over reinforcements once reinforcements are ready, but I shall tell them to wait until you arrive. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Davey boy, I haven't gone through any of the Final Fantasy games other than Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy 15. I tried getting into Final Fantasy 16, but this was coming at a time when I had grown tired of the Game of Thrones occasion of like, oh, no one wants high fantasy simple morality. We must introduce, you know, low-level fantasy into everyone's fantasy, like, you know, absorption, because people really care about, you know, political ramifications and morally gray characters in every aspect of their medium, and that we should be caring more about the logistics rather than, as it should have been for Final Fantasy XIV, a fucking ripper of a time where, yes, you can have complicated morals, but you could just have very simplified enemies. There's a dude in this game that is just like, ah, yes, glorious combat. Let's fight to the death and bring purpose to our lives. He is an asshole. I love this asshole, don't get me wrong. I kind of wish that we might get him in like one of the shards, like not explicitly, but point is, you like, even with a nation of like, you know, conquerors and shit like that, we're not coming up with like a crazy like, oh, like there's a nuanced take for why they're expansionists and shit. It's like sometimes you just need an asshole with a big sword being like, I only care for bloodshed because it makes me feel alive. Let's fight. I know. See, you know, I played all of them, so I get you. So, but yeah, one of the things I want to do, in like, maybe like, I think I would try and coordinate it during a celebration time of Final Fantasy. But one of the things I would love to do, because I go through franchises, I feel like going through like, you know, memory lane of franchises and IPs that people are like hold dear to them and such. I reckon it would be fun just doing like a month or like maybe a year of just nothing but Final Fantasy. And I start all the way from the beginning. Like I go through Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 6. I go through Final Fantasy 7, but I don't go through the Final Fantasy 7 remake because apparently that's doing a lot of extra bullshit that is like really hard to get into, hence why they're breaking it into a trilogy. And then once I'm done with that, we go to 8, we go to 9, we go to 10, we skip 11 because 11 is an MMO and I don't think I have the time for another MMO. Then we get to 12, 12-2, ooh, and then, you know, 13, and then we go from 13 back into 15, and then I try my best to get through Final Fantasy 16. And I try and do it with buddies in the VC, so then that way I am not doing it by myself, and they can tell me, you can skip this, you can do this off stream, you need to do this on stream, da 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 da. Because that's the trickiest bit of trying to do RPGs on stream, is that some of them are really fucking boring to do, and it's all for the sake of the grind, and some of them have really great side quests, and you don't know which is which when you haven't played them before. Grahatia wears a pensive expression in two worlds entwined. And just like that, we find ourselves faced with another emergency. Fortunately, there is yet time for us to make a difference. Let us make haste for Tertium. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so Isabard over to Tertium. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so we're here. There's my Chocobo. Thancred and Oriange and Alize are over there. Actually, one of the things I'll do, companion. Skill appearance, here we go. Yeah. Alright, so... Oh, okay, so I've got, like, more thingamadiggies I can do. Alright, I need healer, so I'm gonna go 8 points into you. And I got 2 more. So you're rank 11 right now. So you're not yet at the fullest rank. Ah, Grant, you've made it in time.
You picked a frosty spot for a reunion.
This is Thancred.
Tataru sent word that you were coming. Full glad am I to see you all.
Mm-hmm.
Though I'm afraid this is no time for pleasantries. Planar fissures have opened up across Garlemald, inundating the region with void scent. As far as we can ascertain, there are 2 focal points of their assault. The Ilzabard contingent are combating the threat in Lapis Manalis. Although they have suffered casualties, they appear to have the upper hand.
As well they should. The many talented Uldan thaumaturges among them should be more than capable of closing any fissures they encounter.
Which leaves the second focal point, the Clutium.
The what now?
And the Garlean community are attempting to mount a counterattack, but are struggling to cope with the sheer number of void scent.
What did she say? The Clutium?
Back to the north of the Imperial Palace. Can you lend your aid in securing the area?
With your blessing, I would tend to the wounded returning from battle.
Of course, Kryl. Thank you. The quickest route from here to the front is via the train tracks. Once we arrive, we can support the Garlean forces as we make for the fissure in the munitions factory.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. The Clutium, now accessible. What a fucking name. The Clutium. Fucking wild of a name. I want to enter it with other people, please. So it should be approximately less than 5 minutes to get through it, so... Did you want... You're welcome to, Davey boy, if you want. I'm currently in, Materia Ravana right now. The reason I'm over in there is because, number one, Velk's a native here in Australia, and which is the Oceania server. And number two, I'm in... Like, while my character is, like, you know, over in Crystal Goblin, because that's where the populace is, Crystal Goblin is, you know, way more populous than Materia Ravana. But, number three... If there are people watching, like, the stream and what have you, and it's like, hey, would you like some assistance in this thing? Anyone from outside of Materia can data center travel to Materia. It's amazing. I love that, like, everyone can travel into the Oceania server. It's just a little bullshit that the Oceania server people can't travel to, like, a neighboring data center. Like, they can't travel to, like, you know, either the North American data centers or the European data centers or even the Japanese data center, which I think is, like, such a misnomer. It's like, what do you mean everyone can travel to Materia, but then no one can travel out from Materia? By the way, get out of the queue. Yep. All good. All good. If you want to, like, be in the VC, Davey boy, you are welcome to. I think you're one of my, you're one of the him bros. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, so now comes social friend list. Code's not online. Unable to retrieve. Thorns. Orek is not online. Xerix, there you are. Arya, Sashera. Would you play World of Warcraft on stream? I'm in VC as is, so I shall not for now. All good. All good. Honestly, it's been a bit of a question mark. I know, like, years and years ago, I was, like, back when I was, like, thinking, oh, I'd make it big in streaming if I just, you know, put the time and the hours into it and such. I did have the thought, like, back when I first started Final Fantasy XIV, where it's like, I could probably catch up to it in, like, 6 months or something like that, and then I'm gonna, you know, maybe try out other MMOs and such, but it's been a big maybe, but, yeah, I think I've just have it down as a maybe for now, because there isn't, like, I don't think there's a free trial for World of Warcraft, and what's more is the World of Warcraft expansions don't function the same way as Final Fantasy XIV, where it's like, ah, yes, you go into the game at base level, and then you're progressing through each of the expansions as they release and such. Instead, World of Warcraft is more like, oh, we have, like, story connections here and there, but there isn't, like, a, Brian, you can do this. Like, there isn't a prerequisite to, complete prior expansions in order to experience the new expansion. So, if I were to do it, it would be, like, a little bit of a weirdies. So, yeah, I'm in Garlemald Instance 2, by the by. Oh, cool. Very hopeful about that. 90% himbo. Nice work. Oh, hello. Davy boy. Invite to party. There you are. 1 tank and 1 healer. This is going to be absolutely fucking amazing. We're probably going to get through this real fast. Let's see how we do. Oh! Instant popping! Let's go! I probably should have done a ready check on Davy boy, but... Ah, god damn it, my instant portal has been reverted. Shit. I don't make it look cool. That is such a weird name, the Clytium. It, like, because of it being a Y, I kind of want to interpret it as an I. And these are all the void scent that have been pouring in that we need to get rid of. Dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Hey there. Look, everyone's got cool... Oh, shit. Oh, wait, what the... Come on. There we go. I am just so amazed by, like, seeing the giant-ass fucking, like, titans there. I thought that was, like, not the summoner, but instead, like, a, I thought those were actual, like, characters I had to fight. Oh, that one's a knight. Fuck, okay. Keep pushing, keep pushing. Cause yeah, I can just sense that the Viper, like this guy right here, Tia Tanaka, is way more interested in hello, come on. Over here. There we go. So yeah, one of the DPSs is more interested in me doing big pulls, so then that way they can do their fun AoEs. There we go. And then Blackguard over here. How is everyone doing today? We're doing good, Ruby Sapphire. We're going through the Final Fantasy XIVs. We're just going through the latest patch. Also, the temptation of Tia just getting rescued, just to be like, hey, boom, get back here. Tanks lead. Oh, yeah, cool, you sit down. Fine. Ding, bong, bam. Dun, 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 dun. Eyes on me. Alright. Cool, cool. Petrifying beam. I'm guessing I gotta be under this thing. Yep. Thank goodness. And then... Fuck. Shit. Yeah, and that thing isn't gonna be, Motion scanner? What the... Is scanning for moving targets. Ah, goddamn you. Every time I do a screw up, I got a vulnerability. Oh, shit. Narcent. There we go. Where the fuck is the petrifying beam going? Fuck! Thank goodness. I just need to go 17 seconds without fucking up my, Yep, cool. My vulnerability stacks is gone. That's great. I totally understand yeeting the DPS. Yeah, considering like Tia's just running straight ahead and it's like, I don't know how survivable Tia is. So like, I'm gonna need on that and pass on that. I don't need the, I don't need that stuff. Dun, 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 dun. All right, no, that's not more powerful. Like, go. Not leaving a treasure coffer. Come on. Hi there, Velk. Not even seeing if I'm available. You were offline. I checked. You were offline. I didn't think you were in the Intwist. Oh, okay. Why are you not over here? Get over here. Dink, dunk. Pass and pass. I do not yet have healers up to like, you know, level 90 or 100 yet, so I'll just, you know, leave them as is. No shit. All right, and then, you know, you're online in Discord. You are busy in Discord. You're just... That is not the same. Actually, if I look now, you're probably going to change to green, aren't you? Let me have a look. Let me have a look. Let me have a look at my direct messages. And... God damn it, you're green. You changed that on me. You were... Ah... Would you like to join in on the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, complete with a free trial, allowing you to go through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and the tantalizing Stormblood and the player-favorited Shadowbringers expansion up to level 80 with no restrictions on playtime? There we go. No way, is that Final Fantasy from hit game Magic the Gathering? Wrong. It is the hit game Final Fantasy XIV from the hit game Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Wilds. The fuck is this dude? Chort. The fucking audacity. What the... The names make no sense in this dungeon. He wears shorts. Oh my god, he's wearing fucking miserable Hulk shorts. Are you kidding me? Uh-oh. Yep. Okay, cool. I'm going the right way. Oh, come on. Arm's length, this bullshit. Oh, cool. Arm's length did not work in that regard. Basic vomit? Excuse me? Oh, there's a second one. God damn, that would have hurt it. Fucking body slamming me, the audacity. Ripples of gloom? Ah, okay, okay. Yay, I got it right this time. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. He can't do advanced vomit? Not, yeah, not this chort. There we go. Fending. Need. Oh, yeah! We get new gloves. Although the gloves are probably not better than these gloves, for all we know. So yeah, hi there, Yun, by the by. Chort. Where do I run to? This way. There we go. We're going in a vacuum. Whee! Whee! There we go. I just realized that one of the DPSs was Riz. Come on. Just standing in all the danger puddles because Davy Boy is just the strongest. Hi there, Velk. I don't know how
Good
long.
morning.
Good morning, I suppose. Ah. So. The fucking names. Okay, this one makes sense. Malphus is a masterful manipulator. But we were in like the Clidium or something, like the Clidium or whatever the fuck this dungeon is called. And then we got a dude named the Chort. Also,
You
where
found the Clidium.
Where the fuck? Oh, they're down here. Okay, cool. Dun. Grinding like a badass. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Mapping the Clidium. We've fully explored it at this point.
Nah, too easy.
So yeah. So you got through this like on day 1, didn't you?
Yes.
Yep. Ooh, Void Dark. No idea what that does. Oh, shit. The fuck is... Why do I feel like these things are gonna... Yeah, they're going to. Cool. Puppet strings? What? Okay, I thought it was gonna bring up, like, ADCs. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, god damn you. Dun, 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 dun. Hell yeah. Shit. Care to join my... Make you fine. I don't know what I did right there.
That is called a motion mechanic. You must be in motion.
And I used the wrong thing. I used a shake it off instead of, like, blood wetting then.
Shake it off's fine.
Yeah, but I, like, lost so much health.
It just got used.
Oh, okay, cool. Am I in the right spot? Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, you bastard. Okay, somehow I avoided all that. Hi there, Savage.
A...
I call shenanigans for you and avoiding that one.
I'm on Materia now.
Yeah,
my Ultra
that does happen sometimes where
my
you have
Ultra
shenanigans
Instinct
and you're
moves
dodging
are
shit.
now like, look at that. Fuck it.
See, that one's fine.
I just have Ultra Instincts when I'm on Materia. It's great. This is half the reason why I decide to data travel to Materia, is so then that way, 1, I get to play with all the other, like, Final Fantasy peeps, because we can all go to the one data center. But then 2, I get to do bullshit like that. Almost there. Yeah!
Still sucks that when they add in the, like, cross, like, the full region PF shit, Materia is still gonna be the outlier.
Yeah. Honestly, like, Oceania and Japan should just be joined in this regard.
No.
What do you mean, no?
You haven't played with JP players, then.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. If you think Australians are racist, yikes.
That's the concern.
No, not the concern. When I did Savage over there, what happened was I would be left on the ground dead.
Okay, but you're talking about Savage, all right? Like, let's be real. Materia isn't filled with Savage players. They're filled with players just trying to get through this shit.
Oh, it happened in normal content too.
Ah, damn it.
Awful.
Maybe if there's like more cloud-based like data centers, like what we have with Dynamis, then maybe Oceania could like, you know, be an easy joiner and such, but just geographically trouble.
We need but seal the fissure to prevent further ingress.
They've had so many cutscenes where this has been voiced. I'm honestly impressed.
Yeah, which is pretty nice.
Extent of the damage were it not for your aid. On behalf of the Garlean community, I thank you for all you've done for my people, for my home.
Like, it feels like it's at least like 90% of the cutscenes this patch.
I like doing the VA work sometimes, but like, we'll see how we go with this patch. Because yeah, imagine trying to be Urianger. It has a concept of home, apparently.
You risked your life in vanquishing the creature. Would you at least let me bear the burden of deciding its fate?
I will say that's one thing I'm liking. We're like going back and seeing people from Endwalker this patch.
Yeah, we've gotten like earlier areas to go through and such, so I'm kind of...
Because we're seeing Julius, who we haven't seen since Endwalker.
You want to go back to the void?
It's not really the void, it's a shard.
Your kind have entered this realm before, some seeking death that they might rejoin the life stream. But you would choose that dark, deathless place? We know that pain all too well. If that is your wish, you must forsake this aggression. Go back to the void and devote yourself to its restoration. I have a friend, Zero, who hails from your home. She and her companions strive to bring light into the void from another world blighted with imbalance. I hear their efforts have already met with some success. One day, they'll
Hello!
from the void, I'm sure of it.
Wait, have they been trying to create like a connection between the 13th shard here and the first?
Disappoint you. That much I guarantee.
Because like the first shard is like blinded with like, you know, white materia and or aether and all that kind of nonsense, and meanwhile the darkness is, you know, void sent dark. And
they have handed a few enemies over to the first so that they can get rid of the light ether.
Yeah, okay. At some point I'm gonna have to read that compendium.
I think Zero will approve.
That was just something that happened in game. That was Zero miss.
Indeed, that was truly heartening to see.
Understanding begets fellowship, right? I thought I might lead by example.
Good job, Julius.
Well then, shall we head back?
Dun, dun. Reports have begun trickling in. By all accounts, the Isbard continent was successful in containing the threat on their front. For Void sent to attack in such numbers just as we were finding our feet, I daren't imagine the consequences had you not provided such timely aid. On behalf of my comrades, thank you. Thank you all. Let's go tenacity. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Donk. Grave, precedent.
The Ilzabard contingent.
Oh, another voice dialogue.
Things appear to be under control for the time being. Though it remains unclear why the fissures opened up in the first place. According to Tataru, similar ruptures are occurring across the star.
One thing is clear, however. The phenomenon is not without pattern. The tendency for fissures to emerge is pronounced in regions deeply connected to the void. Places where the barrier between the two worlds is at its thinnest.
I fear there may be a place in far greater peril than Garlemald. Though it hath since been sealed, you will recall there is a great void gate that we ourselves had cause to open. A gate which was instrumental in our bid to reunite Vritra with his sister and put an end to Golbez's dark plot.
I have honestly forgotten where we did that.
Oh gods. The moon.
Oh.
Our attention fixed upon planar fissures.
Yep.
I failed to consider this vulnerability. All other paths unto the void are but pinpricks in the veil compared to that great lunar rift. And that rift might be yawning open as we speak. We'd better hurry. Let us make for best ways burrow. I dare say the Loporrits are well aware of current events.
We ought to have Kryl join us once she finishes tending to the wounded. I shall likewise contact Y'shtola. Her knowledge of the moon's void gate is second to none.
Alphino, Alize, please do what you must to keep our world safe.
We'll be back before you know it.
A quick word, if you will.
I'm not sure whether you'll run into Zero during the course of all this, but if you do, would you give this to her? emergency rations in case of a protracted battle. Can't imagine she's eating all that well in the void.
She doesn't, like, eat. She just, you know... She just, like, absorbs the aether from it and such. The Loporits are panicking!
You're surprised?
No. It's just funny seeing Loporits running around.
Given thy panicked state, I presume the Loporits too are beset with void scent.
Oh, what sweet relief it is to see you all. Yes, void scent, and lots of them. They suddenly came pouring forth from the crater.
I had dearly hoped to find my worries unfounded.
For some unknown reason, the void gate seems to have partially opened. Living Ray dashed off to activate the brands and halt the fiend's invasion. But she hasn't come back, and we've since lost contact.
I suggest we make for the brands without delay.
Charlie Chaplin's final speech in The Great Dictator, the greatest speech in human history. There's better speeches, I feel, now than, you know, Charlie Chaplin's Great Dictator speech, where that was meant to be like sort of a parody of the whole, like, you know, Nazi regime and well, what have you. Like, even Rogue One has some good speeches and what have you. So... like, all the way back in, like, Season 1, when it was like, oh, like, you know, what are you sacrificing? Alright. Save the Loporit! So...
there we go.
oh yeah, and then Kino's like, only one way out? That's a good one. Go. Oh.
I refuse to elaborate because I don't know what I just said.
Hi there, Air Blue. Omega Planet Hits used MRV missiles. How goes it? How's it, Blue? You had a good time in Age of Empires 2 when last we spoke? Dink. Donk. There we go. Which rabbit had a chocolate pudding problem? Pudding Way. You're thinking of Pudding Way. Dink. And look, there's my red pen. Yeah. We have Mapping Way, Sleeping Way, Home Way, Pudding Way. We've got, like, quite a few of these guys. My valiant savior! I was so frightened, I dared not move an ilm! Oh, you looking for Living Way? I think I saw her heading southwest towards the Drowning Brand. She has several slaughter bots in tow, but I worry they won't be enough for all the void scent. You'd better hurry. Alright. This way? Also, you may be wondering, why does the moon have, like, this giant, like, fissure in the ground? Don't worry about it. dun. There we go. Oh, hello. You said you were busy.
I lied. But I will be busy in an hour.
Ah, okay, cool. So I got I have an hour of Velk assistance. This is Living Way. She basically led the Loporits and all that kind of nonsense.
Oh, I was never in any real danger, of course. I knew you would realize our plight and rush to our rescue.
Sure you did. Sure.
Likewise plagued with void scent. If only we'd prioritized further development of the void scent slaughter bots, we could have stemmed the tide ourselves. Oh, what a tremendous demonstration that would have been. Irrefutable proof that I was mankind's staunchest ally and the greatest Loporit to ever live. I can practically taste the praise. Fortunately, I was able to activate the brands. Should any more void scent emerge from the gate, they ought to be confined to the crater.
Nice.
Unless, of course, the void gate begins to expand of its own accord, or some gargantuan monstrosity tries to barge through. I don't foresee any major problems.
That sounds like a problem.
Nope, we're doomed.
There you are.
I left the data in Shale's capable hands and teleported here as soon as I heard. And ere you ask, I made sure to bring the key with me.
Then the real threat yet awaits us.
'Tis Gorbez's domain beyond the Void Gate. I wonder how he and Zero are faring.
Ooh.
By the 12.
The Endwalker MacGuffin and the Dawn Trail MacGuffin are doing a MacGuffin thing. The Gift of Ethos. Yours is a journey without end, conceived and guided by principle. Hold fast to what you must, and meet your fate without fear. Go forth, discover, unite the stars onto one. Let none bar your path. Ooh, okay. What the shit? You seeing this, Velk?
Yes, you are visiting the Sky Butthole.
Final Kitties 14 online. Hi there, Jin. It's the Dawn Trail. Cue the title sequence. We finally got to the Dawn Trail. It took us 5 patches, but we finally got there. Okay. Oh, I can take you on. I took you on at level 90, all of you. I'll take you on at level 100. Also, that's 0, by the by.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing here?
A visit felt long overdue.
Only you could be so carefree amidst all this. May as well make yourself useful. The gate's sheer size appears to have made it a tempting target.
Ooh, I haven't seen you. Have I?
NOO, a dread void scent risen from the benighted depths of the ocean. They kept to the confines of their domain while Zeromus endured. No longer, it would seem.
Ah.
And once they had discovered a path to the Red Moon, they wasted no time in making the journey.
Leave the void scent nearby to us. You take care of NOO.
Don't mind if I do.
Calls for a more familiar approach.
Oh, cool! She can change into a Reaper form. Nice.
Void scent can change their form at will. Both light and darkness are mine to wield.
Hell yeah.
Besides, what better to purge darkness from the void than darkness itself?
Ah, okay, this is a trial.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dares face me, a mere mortal.
Hardly, but nice try.
Come in search of power, renown. I fight to end this world without
Let's see. 7th, 1st, 13th. This is where we've gone to 4, including the source. The unmaking is now accessible.
Want to invite me first?
Oh, okay, you're on?
Yep.
Turam. I do not see you. Where the hell? Oh, there you are. There we go. Light party. Hopefully we'll get there in less than 5 minutes. Don't de-himbo me, Wild Saber, just before we go into a fight. I need the muscle. I was doing like grinding last night to like I just went through like M's 1, 2, 3 like real fast, just so then that way I had like a few like more I was really hoping to get like something here, like maybe some new pants or a new jacket, but I was only able to get like more like ring stuff. So, but that got me over the mark of 755. Buttercups,
nice.
Stride Gun, Cookie Bars, PLP. No idea what Sir Dragon was talking about earlier. Ding.
Still trying to get one of my my one tank weapon from M12S.
Ah, okay. I have not done any of the S's. So.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row with no weapon so far.
So, I think one of the better ways of me getting, like, I'll need to have a look at, like, what is probably one of the better ways of getting a weapon, because, like, for my tanks, for instance, like Dark Knight, Gunbreaker, and Paladin, they're still using their artifact job weapons that are only at level 99. This is, like, I'm...
The relic weapon.
Sorry?
The relic weapon would be the way to go.
Just pick it up?
Unfortunately, it is a grind and a half this time.
Yeah,
Yep.
I heard. It's like they
Each
overcorrected.
step is a bit of a grind and then a tome dump.
Yeah, because like in blah 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 blah. Apparently, like when they were doing Endwalker's like artifact weapon, it was like, oh, you could get this done in almost a day for some of them and such. I could craft you a weapon if you want to. It's all good. It's one of those things where also. Like, the crafting is only ever as, like, an emergency. So, like, for instance, the Lover's Hairpin or the earrings, thanks to Velk, these were only in emergency because it was a case of, like, uh-oh, I can't even continue on.
Actually, thinking about it, Grant, how much of the, not the green ones, like, white-looking, the ones with the, like, white on it, how many of those tomestones do you have?
Let me have a look.
That's a good...
I got 750 mathematics and 203 mnemonics.
Well, just for a heads up, the mathematics you can use to upgrade the 770 crafted to 780.
Yeah, okay. So, also, I need to figure out how to get rid of this heliometry. Because, like, this is...
Go to Mordona for that.
Ah, okay, so they do all their exchanges.
It'll convert into one of the other ones. I forget. I think it's...
It's most likely going to go in...
that it'll convert to.
It's probably going to be like 50 cents on the dollar into the Poetics, I think is what it's going into. And I got...
Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, it'll just convert into one of the other Poetic.
Yeah.
One of the other tomestones. Which you gotta just make sure to do that before next expansion drops, because then
it just
those
disappears.
ones will go to waste.
Yep.
I still find it funny how my healers are my second highest item level now.
Nah, for me, healer, very, like, because of the white mage, because I, like, you know, kind of blitz through that way more. I need, if I want, I should work on getting, like, the Scholar or the Astrologian higher, but I think what I'll do is, because melee and physical range DPSs, like, they don't really share a level with anyone. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So I wanna try and get, like, as many of these things up to, like, level 50 at least. And then I'll probably have, like, the Summoner Scholar, like, the last one I do, like, level grinding for, because, you know, either or will go up in level.
Yeah, that's a nice thing, is, like, you level 1 and the other levels up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't the only first timer in this.
Nice.
We got 2 others. Looks like. I actually got the extreme of this done just the other day.
Alright. So, who are we?
Well, let's do this.
Who dare oppose me shall quake before the silken dark. The void's power is mine to wield. Perish.
Not gross.
Be still.
Oh. Danny boy! No! Arm's length.
Accept your downfall.
So glad I fucking remembered to move for that.
It's clockwise!
What? What?
That shit doesn't matter in here, you fuck.
Oh!
Clockwise or counterclockwise doesn't matter in this bitch.
Doth the yawning rift not tempt you?
Uh-oh.
Gotta love knowing where I can just stand to not get hit by the AoEs at the end of the lines.
The void consumes. Naught will endure. Neither past nor future.
Okay, how fast are we meant to run? Like, are we supposed to keep running? Oh.
You just need to get far enough away that you won't get fucking immediately nuked by that shit.
You can keep running. It's a long trip.
Yeah, this place is very wide open.
Do we need to hit anything else? Oh, okay, there we go.
Yes, there's other ads you have to DPS.
So, I'm guessing.
Yeah, if you get on the light line, you just are Speedy Gonzalez.
Woo!
And there we go. Back out we go.
We all survived that.
The underlings are no more. Now to deal with NOO.
Life and death rendered meaningless.
Light, protect us.
Hey.
Will not yield my domain. Such is the power of the void.
Ow, I didn't realize there was an AoE.
Shall never cease to be. My power is absolute. The void's power is mine to wield.
Thank goodness for Zero and Gobez being here.
Behold the truth of this world. Accept your downfall. Doth the yawning rift not tempt you? Be still.
Damn it. Ow. Yay!
Oh yeah.
They must be sealed away.
I shall be off because I've got another party to go.
Fair enough. Thank you for helping me as far as you could, Velk. I'm glad that you're able to get here for the trial at the very least. Ooh,
Okay.
we got a lovely crystal. Zero's gonna eat that, isn't she?
Mm.
Dun, 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 da. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. go. Ooh, Blue got themselves a rare jack-o'-lantern. Nice work there, Blue.
I'm glad you came. We would have struggled to face Enuo.
'Cause you're a fruity fox. That's why, Blue.
I presume you journeyed here to prevent more void scent from passing through the gate.
You would be correct.
With Enuo defeated, there are none left in this realm who pose a serious threat. I dare say the problem is resolved.
Nice. Have you noticed any abnormalities in the void of late?
Nothing comes to mind. Why'd you ask? So the breach wasn't limited to the Void Gate. For better or worse, precious little has changed in the 13th since Zeromus fell. Have you noticed anything unusual?
I know not the reason events have unfolded this way, but there is, perhaps, an explanation as to why the Void Gate and the fissures opened. Here, in my domain, even the slightest change is keenly felt. When the gate opened, I sensed not the workings of some external force. Rather, it felt as if the barrier between our worlds was weakening naturally, moment by moment, until the two came to meet.
And you think this weakening could be happening elsewhere?
Tis a possibility.
What of GrantZeebs and Garlemald? Eulus took mercy upon the interloper. Whether Void Scent or Garlean, we all share the same longing for home. Should we meet, I will gladly offer them aid. Please tell Eulus as much. Wait, how exactly did you get here? No mortal could traverse the Void Gate in its current state.
The MacGuffin Endwalker and the MacGuffin Dawn Trail.
And this path of yours is still there. I cannot see.
Why are you liking my post while streaming? Shut up, Blue! You don't know me!
Nor does it reveal itself to me. Perhaps the path serves only...
Shh! You're not supposed to tell, Artemis!
So it is not a means to travel freely back and forth. A pity. would have liked to see my friends again.
Now seems an opportune time to give Zero the parcel Julius has prepared for her. Actually, yeah, how the fuck would we have given this to Zero if it wasn't for the voids, for like our MacGuffin gate to open up if the void scent wasn't yet in a state? Bonk. Something for me? Yes, it's a package of dumplings. Some still warm dumplings packed with care by Jules. That smell. Food, is it? Ah, I recall Jules speaking of the dumplings his mother used to make. Thank you for the parcel. And the fond memories. There's more than enough to share with Golbez, now that he forgoes the aether of others. I'm sure he'll appreciate the sustenance. I sometimes wonder what the Void would be like if culinary traditions flourished here once more, whether it would suffice to break the cycle of mutual consumption. A heartening thought, if nothing else. Bum, 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 bum. A beacon from beyond. Zero has something to discuss with you. Until our battle earlier, I hadn't called upon darkness in some time. In truth, I find light a better fit these days. Ever since you left, we've been roaming the void in search of individuals who would join our cause. Although we can return to the Red Moon after sensing Uno's presence, rarely do we linger in a single location. However, if the interloper you spoke of does indeed need to seek me out, it might be wise to return to my domain. Why don't you join us? With Uno's defeated, the source should be in no immediate danger. Good. We'll wait for you by the crater. This zebra did contribute 140 food to my stores? How? How the fuck did I contribute whatever it is you're telling me I contributed, Blue? I don't remember going to the grocery store. There's a teleporter situated between here and the center of the moon. I used it to travel to the surface in days long past, though I someday had need once my generals were in place. Igyorhium herself crafted a device that I might lay low the servant of light. Ironic that we now use it to seek to restore light to the void. Forgive my idle reminiscence. 'Tis time we made our descent. Oh yeah, I remember this place. Though it was not always so, many who live here now have chosen to do so because they support the cause. Indeed, if our numbers continue to grow, we may require more territory. Thankfully, we were able to harness the residual aether from Barbaricia's domain. Those reserves will enable me to expand mine as the need arises. Right. We had best prepare for our potential guest. Join me in my abode when you're ready. That must be Golbez. I would gladly consume his aether if I stood the slightest chance of not being gobbled up first. Excuse me. Cool. I waited an eternity for Zero Mist to save this world, but my faith was misplaced. In the end, it was Zero who brought us hope. She's the reason I keep coming back here, day after day. Oh, I overshot it. I imagine you remember these. The transmitters we used to receive light from the first. If memory serves, they work by channeling excess aether left in the wake of the flood into the Crystal Tower. Using the tower's cross-rift travel capabilities, light is then conveyed onto the 13th and into these devices. I have a mind to use them now, but they'll need to be set in an elevated location. Your assistance would be greatly appreciated. Uh-huh. Okay. Up the stairs we go. Hang left, hang right. Wait, how many did she give me? Oh, just the one. Okay. During the Ethiopian campaign, stem deers, there are elephant, zebra, ostriches, and lions. Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
Light from beyond, sent courtesy of our ever-watchful friends.
Tabitha Fox paid me to say 2 + 2 = fish. Don't believe me? Turn them 90 degrees and make them kith.
Yep, there's the other ether stuff. Oh, look, there's the, what's-mahoozy fella we were fighting back in the dungeon. Yep, it's light in the void. Wonder if he remembers me. Sup?
I am Zero, and this is my domain. 'Tis a safe haven for those who abhor conflict. Among those gathered here, many aspire to restore this world to how it once was.
Such a thing is possible.
Also, hi there, Tabitha.
Indeed. Though how long the endeavor will take, I cannot say. But for those of us abandoned by death itself, what do we have but time to try, and try again?
Very well. This light is ample proof your comrades spoke true.
What? You finally realized the shirt about the, about the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with an expanded free trial, which allows me to go through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heaven's Ward and the tantalizing Stormblood and the player-favorited Shadowbringers expansion up to level 80 with no restrictions on playtime? It would seem Julius's intervention has helped forge a new bond. Thank you for bringing word to me. I gather you'll head home sooner rather than later. Then let us return to the Red Moon. I'm sure you won't begrudge me a proper farewell. What did you make of the dungeon? It was interesting. The name threw me off. The Clydium or whatever or whatever the fuck it was. And you have fought something called a chode.
Making progress towards rebuilding our home. And I hope that he is too.
Aww.
Enuo's Memoria will be safe here. The crystal containing Zeromus has been passed on to our allies in the First. If Enuo's Memoria might serve them in restoring their world, we shall likewise consider its transfer.
How much simpler it would be to aid one another in our respective fights, were it not for these boundaries between us. Safe travels, my friend. We take comfort in the knowledge that you're out there fighting too, wherever you may be.
They're gonna be surprised as fuck when I disappeared. You're making boiling the hell out of it. I've seen that TikTok. I've seen the TikTok of the dude from, like, you know, Vine era being like, I'm making holy water. How? You're not a priest. By boiling the hell out of it. Give Grahati a wave, please. Ow.
Is that?
Ciao. Is that holy water thing a delicious? No, it's not a delicious in dungeon reference. Yun Samaraka. It's just a Vine TikTok. I didn't hurt myself waving to a Catboy. Blue fired a firecracker right at my face.
Vanished, the void-sent incursion abruptly ended. We surmised you had a hand in that, but never did it cross our minds that you were fighting alongside Zero and Golbez.
This golden path you said you traversed wasn't visible to us either. Nor did we hear a voice. Ethos. Might this be the key's true name?
While many mysteries remain, for now, I am glad to learn the state of affairs in the 13th. Golbez's suspicion that the barrier twixt worlds has begun to weaken. 'Twould certainly explain the surge in fissures manifesting in the source.
Yet what could be behind such a phenomenon?
This lady.
And who might you be? Not her void sent, I'd wager.
Greetings. I am Helmerut of the Asians. We are your sworn foes, I know. But on this occasion, will you not put away your arms?
Impressive. Although Thancred has, like, no Aether controls, so... You forgot if we've seen all 13 of them? I don't think we've seen all 13 of them at this point. I think we've seen... 6, maybe?
Bereft of the unsundered, we were under the impression you and yours no longer had cause to continue your activities. that you should reveal yourself at this juncture.
So yeah, because there was 3 unsundered, which was La Habrea, and there was 3 unsundered basically, and all 3 were killed.
Correct.
La Habrea, Elidibus, and Emmett were the unsundered. Thank you, Tabitha. Because La Habrea was killed in the events of A Realm Reborn. Elidibus was killed in the events of Stormblood? And Emmett Selk was because of Shadowbringers.
Be at ease, even were I to occupy a combat-oriented vessel.
Hi, Sash. Okay, I need to, like, stop the cutscenes, because there's all kinds of mess happening now. Hi there, Squeesh. La Habrea actually died in Heaven's War. Oh, okay. We fought La Habrea in A Realm Reborn, I remember. Now, Naboralis was the Ascian we oofed in A Realm Reborn. Ah, okay, and they were a sundered thing. La Habrea was from Heaven's War. So where did we kill Elidibus from? What? Because Elidibus wasn't the I don't think Elidibus wasn't like the quote-unquote heart of Zodiac. Were they?
No, the one. I don't think so.
Alright.
Wait, no, wasn't Elidibus? No, Elidibus was Shadowbringers, because he was the like Warrior of Light guy that we fought in the trial.
No, I thought that was no. Shadowbringers had his deal with Hades, I thought.
No. Well, yes, we dealt with Hades, but that was just Emmett, from what I remember.
Elidibus was forward by the Crystal Tower because Catboy sealed him into it. Oh, he was in the patch of Shadowbringers. Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember, do you happen to remember the one where the trial, near the end of Shadowbringers?
Yeah, so it was like...
With, like, the...
Because, Catboy basically, like, turned full crystal or something like that, and at the end of the Shadowbringers patches...
was just after the trial.
Yeah, so, and then afterwards... afterwards, like, we were able, because of the like a crystal and something or other, we were able to wake up our Grahatia from the crystal tower that was in our source.
Yep.
So yeah, did it. Elidibus was the emissary, which did originally act as the heart of Zodiac. Also, hi there, Infra. All right. We're all across it? We're all good? All right, moving on. So, I need to be focusing on this cutscene and such like that, because I've already, like, lost, like, 2 or 3 lines from Calyx.
If you wish to speak, Halmarut, will you not tell us what it is that you hope to accomplish?
From the nerd.
As you know, our star Aetheris was sundered into 4 and 10 shards in the time of the ancients.
You could just say 13. Or 14, sorry.
As the will of the star, Hydaelyn perpetuated this unnatural division for millennia. And in the wake of her passing, nature has begun to reassert itself. As a wound knits itself together, the star seeks to become whole once more.
3, 4. Yeah, there's like 5 other shards, you know, because we've had like a number of calamities, hence why they've been joining back into it.
Unlike the one we Ascians attempted to orchestrate, however, the stars rejoining will afford mankind no special treatment. All life and matter will be condensed into a single whole and remade for a new beginning. A complete rebirth. Aetheris will return to the way it once was. Hundreds of millions of years past. To a quiet and peaceful time. Long before the light of mankind was kindled.
Supposing for a moment we believe you, how can you possibly know all this?
It is an inevitability that I have foreseen since time immemorial. A future that awaits should creation be freed from the influence of Hydaelyn and Zodiark. The star is tolerant to life. It holds no grudges, and neither rages nor weeps for being sundered. Yet by the same token, it is indifferent to life's survival. No amount of devastation and death can compel it to stop the wheels of creation from turning. The earth shakes, and mountains spew fire. Floods wash away the fruits of labor, and icy winds freeze and starve. Countless perish as nature runs its course. So many seeds of life have already been lost. Yet in spite of this, people continue to believe that the morrow will come. But it will not. For nothing lies beyond the solstice, when all creation is reunited. When that day comes, every last trace of mankind shall be erased. I cherish man's journey. Despite losing his innocence and being made to live with suffering, he has forged ever onward. Strong, even as he is weak, his is a proud tale in the history of the star.
How many Ascians have we seen then? 6?
Shame for that tale to end.
Excluding Halamet, which makes 7.
And die, when some might yet survive. Would you not agree?
If a natural rejoining doth lead unto the solstice, then thine intent is to preemptively rejoin the worlds.
Correct. It was for this very purpose that Halmarut recruited suitable collaborators from the Reflections. Individuals like me, who would willingly doom another world in order to fulfill their aspirations.
I wonder which one they forgot.
The Winterers, we are called. And if you and yours seek to protect all life, then sooner or later you shall have to contend with us.
Basically the heart of Zodiark. Oh no, Amon is different from Hermes, isn't he?
Is true. you've done, Calyx. It's unforgivable.
I do not ask that you be pragmatic, nor do I seek your approval. Given your familiarity with other reflections, 'tis only natural that you are averse to our methods. But there is one irrefutable fact that you must understand. Should we take no
Oh, yeah, what?
The solstice.
Yeah, Hermes. Or, well, Fandangle. Fandangle.
Yeah, Fandaniel, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking his dumbass.
Yep.
Of course, should it serve to satisfy your ambition, you are welcome to deal with the reflections as you deem fit.
What the fuck?
Who satisfied his own when he brought the star to the brink of ruin to face you.
That's Xenos's.
Mm-hmm.
She just picks him up.
Yep.
Final Fantasy thinks. Sash is just thinking, is just like, oh, are they giving us I'll be real with you. Like, I don't imagine we'll get Xenos again. But what I would love to see, like, because we're going into reflections and such, and we have seen this when we were in Shadowbringers, where we had these people in the first, and then we went to Zoctorel in Dawntrail, and we saw like reflection. We saw basically the source equivalent of those we saw in the reflection with like the carts and what have you. I would love to see a reflection of Xenos, like one that, like, you know, he isn't explicitly like the Garlemald Xenos where he like wants the world's end and such like that, but there will just be things that he says where it's like, you know, something on the lines of like a test of your reflexes, or you know, we like, this is our purpose, like, you know, true to yourself, that you do this for yourself or something like that. Like, I would love to see a Xeno shard, because then we could have something similar to like a Goku Vegeta thing. Because quite frankly, I don't think in the Scions that we have right now, we were close to it in Stormblood, but we don't have a villain turned dotagonist in our like Scion group or anything like that. Alphino and Alizé are just, you know, they were assholes during A Realm Reborn because they thought they knew better, but then, you know, they got, you know, adjusted and such. Could be wrong, Tabitha, but from what I was reading on the wiki, we may have also killed one in the 1.0 storyline. Worth doing some Googling. There you are. One moment you were standing before me, and the next you'd vanished into thin air. Thanks to you all, the Void Scent have been eradicated, and the gate lies sealed once more. There's been nary a peep from the crater. Though I can't help but notice none of you seem to share my enthusiasm. Is something wrong? Are you up to date yet, Sash? Are you and Danny up to date yet with your Final Fantasy XIV, so that you and your hubby are like able to join us in like other Final Fantasy nonsense? Or are you like just sort of here ignoring progression? Also, when did you get that cool hat? Nevergrave with UAMs up to date? Nice. The star seeks to become a whole? But that's preposterous. As far as I'm aware, Hydaelyn made no mention of a natural rejoining. I ought to consult the records to be certain. But not before thanking you for dispatching the voice sent so handedly. You well and truly save the day. Dun 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 dun. Trail to the heavens. Okay, this is the last mission then. The implications of the solstice and the Winter's schemes, as well as ours approaching more forward, will take time to consider. To that end, I believe we should gather and speak in person. And by we, I mean all our fellow Scions. For a change of pace, why don't we convene at the Rising Stones? I'm sure Tataru and the others would be happy to meet us there. A fine idea. In many ways, our return is long overdue. You're here because you're safe from spoilers and you wanted to kick the squirrel. You had your own little what if you'd like to see, but it's a bit of a verbal bar, so I don't want to flood chat. You're welcome to slip into the VC, Sashera. I'm pretty sure you're still in the private Discord server, so you're able to, like, you know, divulge nonsense and such once we get through the cutscenes and such. Because I think we're going to get through this patch relatively quickly, because normally I go on for like 4 hours and such, but we'll probably get through all this in like the 3rd hour mark, and then we can just do like a little bit of waffling until we get to like, you know, 9:15 or 9:30. No doubt we could all use some reprieve from Garlemald, but I trust there are no objections. You also have dinner soon. To settle then, to the Rising Stones. I know some people have a theory because of the cutscene in like the trailer we got for Evercold. There is the theory that we're looking to, instead of doing the natural rejoining, or the joining that the Ascians were doing, where it's like, you know, basically their shard colliding into our source and then, you know, doing all kinds of bullshit. Instead, they were going to try and do like a thingy where they would bring the star from the shard into our source, but in like a different part of our source. So then that way, instead of colliding with our source planet, it would be somewhere else. All right, is it this person I talked to? No. Is it Script Exchange? Nope. Who do I talk to for? Is it Token Exchange?
Should be the middle one, I think.
Yeah.
Heliometry Exchange.
There we go. Exchange 1,000 for 200. Oh, they exchange it for mathematics. Nice. I thought it was going to be for blah blah blah. What the fuck is that?
Oh, that's a cosmic exploration mount.
What in the action? Why the fuck is there a digger in town? The actual fuck? I doubt we're gonna do.
I'm like, let me see
the other thing. No, I'm not talking about what happened in Alexandria, where they basically did like a swap kind of thing. I'm meaning like the entire planet in the shard ending up in our solar system. That's what I'm talking about. I think mine is just Emmett Copium. I'm gonna be real. You want?
Hold on, Grant, turn around. Yeah, I have this.
Oh my fucking god. God
the
damn
vacuum
it.
suit. Both of those mounts are from
So yeah, so Sashera very much wants Emmett Selk back. I very much want Xenos back. Nary a thing has changed since we last gathered here. No doubt Tataru is chiefly responsible for the prevailing state of tidiness. Speaking of whom, she and a great many of our comrades are en route. Let us wait for them a while longer. Yeah. The one you're thinking of from 1.0 is a lesser Ascian. Ah, okay. So it's not one of the important 13.
Since last we gathered here. Though our order's dissolution was indeed in name only, thereafter we did largely operate independent of one another. All of which is to say, full glad am I to stand in such esteemed company once more.
Actually, yeah, if we've disbanded the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, like, who's running the Rising Stones here?
Well, from what I remember, it's not, like, fully disbanded. It's just...
in name, he said.
I think it's just, like...
Oh my god!
To the public, it is.
A full fucking party is here.
This is everyone that we could round up on short notice. The others are still en route. Estinian alone we weren't able to make contact with, but we're working on it.
We're never finding Estinian on our own easily.
No doubt his link pearl is buried at the bottom of his bag. Knowing him, he'll turn up when we least expect it.
Now, as much as I'd like to savor our reunion, Tataru tells us there have been developments. Will you apprise us of the details?
What about the white masked Ascians? Because I remember there was like a normal raid or something like that, or trials involving the white masked Ascian that's just in the other room. Gabriella's? I think that's her name. Small little girl.
The Winterers and the Solstice.
The veracity of Halmarut's claims remains unclear.
No, not the Shades and Amarot. Like in the Rising Stone, like in the other room.
The living into endless. Calyx was privy to knowledge of the reflections and more.
And the Winterers are formed of others, like him.
In light of the recent Void Scent incursions, I believe it would be wise to treat the Solstice as a genuine threat. The problem is how to deal with it.
One of the Convocation. Okay.
Both the source and the reflections are home to irreplaceable life. I would protect them all if I could. But if doing so means ushering in complete annihilation...
I'll get out of the cutscene and then I'll see if they're still in the room there.
Then what can we possibly do? I wonder, was Hydaelyn aware of the solstice?
Given that we had no knowledge of it when you journeyed to Elpis, you couldn't have warned Venar. So it is entirely possible she was unaware. But in the course of sustaining the Sundered Star, she may have glimpsed this eventuality.
I don't think she had any way of knowing.
Indeed. Not even Hydaelyn could be expected to foresee everything. And with her gone, we have only speculation.
Whichever it may be, it is we who must find the answer. We who live in the here and now.
Perhaps we could take a recess? Oh, I dare say everyone could use a rest.
Do we have any patches after 7.5?
Indeed.
There'll be one more.
Okay.
From what I remember. Like we should have one more patch that'll add a bit more story.
Yeah, because the idea is then is it sets us up for Evercold.
I believe you should keep the key, Ethos.
Yeah, like this is like the beginning of what's the setup, and then we have what we'll get later on. Yeah, because like we're gonna get like a part 2 to this, which should be like pretty short.
Yeah, okay, so Tabitha and Yun Samaraka. So in the solar is... There they are. Una Kulhai. Pleasure as always, Grant. What would you ask of me? I have already revealed you the secrets of my origin, and in the spirit of friendship you have offered me, I shall endeavor to remain open and truthful from this point. We must have trust between each other. Pray, permit me to remove my mask when we speak thus in private. I didn't know I could do that. I was not born of this world. My home fell to oblivion long ago and is now known as the Void. The champions who fought upon that ruined star were corrupted by the captured essence of the primals, twisted into incarnations of darkness. Those of the light who stood to oppose them were but suckling babes in comparison. I was told they were more like me, young and untouched by the echo, but the darkness consumed all ere we learned of each other's existence. Even the servants of the power which annihilated my world could find naught to salvage in the emptiness which remained. Such a tale you have heard from me before, but I feel the story bears repeating. Think of it as a mantra, a warning that you might avoid the same terrible fate. 'Tis fortunate, however, that this world is bountiful. Where mine own was found wanting, you have become the hero that I never was, strengthened and steadied by your companions in the scions of the Seventh Dawn. As I understand, you were summoned across the rift to another world, the first, whereupon you reversed its perilous pitch towards light. But your deeds did not end there. Nay, you then went on to strike down no lesser an Ascian than the emissary himself. Elidibus, to the last as he stayed his course, rendered up his life for his mission, and he may well have accomplished it were it not for you. Your victory is an event to be rejoiced, as are all victories over the Ascians. Yet if truth be told, I find my heart is torn. For as much suffering as he has caused, Elidibus saw fit to save my life. That's probably where my confusion was the fact that, like, yeah, he's a person with an echo from the 13th and such like that. Or as Tabitha says, he's a warrior of light from the 13th. He was saved by Elidibus and sent over here. It just confused me because he was wearing a mask, similar to...
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so basically for this patch cycle, like for the 7.5 cycle, on the 2nd is when we're gonna get Cosmic Exploration expansion, custom deliveries, and the Ultimate. That's gonna be June 2nd. July 28th is when we're gonna get more Hildebrand. Oculent, like the new area for Oculent Crescent, or Occult Crescent, and then the next, like the final stage for the Relic Weapons.
Yep.
And then 0.56 is when we're going to get the second half of this MSQ and Beastmaster, which is going to be September 8th.
Okay.
So yeah, we have to wait till September 8th to get the second half of this this patch's story plus Beastmaster.
All right.
So for whoever was asking about Beastmaster, September 8th.
Yeah, that was Wild Saber, like way back when. Coltonant and I have remained in Corvos to monitor the situation among the Garleans and the Corvosi. Though seldom smooth sailing, in time the region settled and we were able to return. I forgot about the mask, but then do we include the 2 red mask Gaius is carrying on his hip? Oh, good question about that. I understand the Garlean community has made great strides in improving relations with other peoples. Hearing that, I feel renewed zeal for resolving the issues in Corvus. Wait, no, like even though Gaius has the 2 red masks, I'm pretty sure, like yeah, he's like isn't it a thing where like even though they're like this is the problem with the Ascians that we got from A Realm Reborn and we weren't able to actually kill one, is that even if you killed an Ascian, they went out from the source, like, you know, formless and such, but they didn't go back into the life stream, and so then they just reincarnate back in our like shards. So what you basically had to do is you had to trap their aether or something like that in like a white aura site or something like that. Like I remember like that was so like what's probably happened is Gaius may have like killed 2 of them, but like Tabas says, we don't know if they're dead because the technique in which we've killed the Ascians, like, you know, dead have been a case of they have either been captured in the white aura site, or in the case of Emmett Selk, or maybe was it Emmett Selk or was it Elidibus that we no, Elidibus we did the white aura site. Emmett Selk or Hades, we had them take over like all of the white white aether that we collected in our time in the first shard, And yeah, that's what killed him, because it like corrupted him and then he was sent back into the live stream or something. Perhaps you'd like to hear more about the Garlean's accomplishments from me and the twins. It might stroke that fire even hotter. Couldn't possibly kill an Ascian permanently. Yeah, it's a bit, it's like, I feel like it's a bit of a misnomer thinking that, you know, guys, because he wasn't learning information from us, and it took a long time in the Realm Reborn patch before we finally learned the technique, and no one else has replicated this. 'Twas by no means an easy decision, but as the solstice is now our paramount concern, Alize and I have opted to formally withdraw from our efforts in Garlemald. After all, anything we can do to protect our world will also serve to keep Garleans safe. Jules and his comrades are already working towards a brighter future of their own accord. Honestly, I'm more worried about us. It's so difficult to see the path ahead, but hopefully we can get through this and return to Garlemald with our heads held high one day. Indeed. In the meantime, let us prepare a letter for Jules and the community. We mustn't let despair stay our heads. How old were you when you figured out Blue from Blue's Clues is a girl? Today, years old. After Urianger and I went off on our own, we decided to spend some time exploring Zaktural. We never had the chance to visit during the rites of succession, you see. We journeyed east through Loa Zanitia before heading up to the coast to the frigid northern reaches, where they revered a storied beast of the sea. The excursion only served to reinforce just how diverse Tural really is. We also met with the Walagi. Though we had not the time to study their arts at length, we were privy to several intriguing demonstrations. Would that we could have indulged our curiosity further and traveled to yet more distant lands. For better or for worse, pragmatism tempered our wanderlust. Suffice it to say, we still have plenty to see of the continent. I should very much like to return, given the chance. Bluey is also... Oh yeah, I know Bluey is a girl. That, like, Bluey and Bingo are girls. Bandit is the dad, and Chili is the mom. Judging by your guys, Clemens, your studies have been productive. Indeed, I have more or less mastered the fundamental principles of Charlian astrology. At one point, I considered exploring other healing arts, but decided to persevere with more focused training to better leverage my skills on the battlefield. I don't think I'd be much use on a battlefield these days. I can scarcely hold my bow steady, let alone hit a target, so sorely bereft of brotherly ministrations as I am. I knew you still required constant supervision. You two haven't changed in the slightest. It makes me wonder how our colleagues that couldn't join us today are faring. Aenor and I were training in Gridania when Voidsent attacked the Twelveswood. Thankfully, we were able to fend them off with the help of the Twin Adders. When I heard the invasion had already spread across the star, I realized the gravity of the situation and ordered a confidential report sent to the other Scions. That's why Tataru was so quickly apprised. Thanks to you, we were able to make haste for Garlemald. While circumstances and duty may keep us apart, we remain bound by common purpose. Indeed. May that purpose continue to guide us now that we stand together once again. Narbralius is the only Ascian we killed via Auracite. Oh, okay. Elidibus was sealed in the Crystal Tower, which is being drip-feeding his aether back into the live stream. Oh, that's why we see him in there and why he was able to open a thing to dig into the Unsundered world. It seems everyone has much and more to discuss with one another. Anyway, you're overdue for a proper break. The peace and quiet will help you think. Feel free to make yourself comfortable in Dawn's respite. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, moving on before we get, you know...
Yun Samakra and Tabitha Fox getting into like, you know, a deep dive into earlier Final Fantasy XIV expansions and where the Ascians have gone.
Should it serve to satisfy your ambition, you are welcome to deal with the reflections as you deem fit.
Thank you for the Hyperhimbo Omega.
And Wanderer who satisfied his own when he brought the star to the brink of ruin to face you.
I detest evenings such as this. Too bright, too stimulating. The mind distracted by the inconsequential.
Calyx? Yep.
You needn't be so wary. I merely come to offer information before my departure. Halmarut and I will soon cross the rift to observe the enactment of another Winter's plan. Our destination is the Fourth.
This is where Evercold, like, goes in.
Ice, whose lands are blanketed in thick clouds. In order to survive, man has fled to the skies, using great magics to establish new civilizations.
Why tell me where you're going?
I have my own designs I would see realized. Nothing more. Believe me or don't, as you like. For all I know, you lack the means to follow us anyway. What Halmarut said to you earlier. She suggested that dealing with the reflections might satisfy your ambition. But is that truly so? You have seen battles beyond counting, have defeated even the fear of death. Is there some conclusion that you seek, no matter the cost?
Are you really trying to have us reflect on the same lessons that Xenos was trying to push onto us at the end of the universe?
A truth. We Winterers each have an ambition that we wish to fulfill. To that end, we may share information with one another, but we do not necessarily share the same beliefs. Just as you and yours decried my actions, I find those of my fellows objectionable. Be that as it may, it is the culmination of our lives' works that we would bring to the world. Fruits born of undying devotion, daring aspiration, and unwavering ideals. No matter how we are reviled, no matter what we must steal, our actions will be vindicated by those who abide in the future we create. In your benevolence, you may seek to save everything and everyone. But once all is consequently consigned to oblivion, your noble deeds will amount to nothing more than folly. For no living soul shall remain to judge them.
Out from his sickly scientist uniform and back into his, like, tiny squirrel suit. If shattered stars are doomed to mend, how turns the key to winter's end? And there we go. Dawn's Respite. Hang on. I don't remember seeing this before. Oh, it's just a cool little area with beds and such like that. Neaties. Would have been cooler if this was like a place with like a glamour chest and all that kind of nonsense, but okay. Should have been funny and put him in something smiling. Nah, it's funny that he's got the deadpan look. The designers were on to something. So yeah. That there is Trial to the Heavens. Yay! We are now back up to speed with our. Oh my god, look at the red bandages sitting on my shoulder!
Yeah, it's really cute.
Okay. So yeah. Yeah, because I don't have anything I need to hand in here, so I need to go back to Tuliol. Now, I'm pretty sure... Yeah, there he is, the Wandering Mistral. So the Wandering Mistral is just Yoshi P in disguise, but the whole, like, benefit of talking to the Wandering Mistral is that any of the trials we go through and such will later be, like, you know, we go to the Wandering Mistral, we talk to him, and he unlocks for us the, like, the extreme versions. Hey! Why would you do this to me, Artemis? So close to the end. Hell on Rails Extreme. Nice. It's available in the site. And then the Unmasking we get is Extreme as well. You wrote for me today. And now we have the Unmaking. So we got all these high-end duties now. I like that this was a relatively short expansion, or not expansion, sorry. I like that this was a relatively short patch, especially considering like the amount of like speed I had to go through in the previous bit. I'm glad that this one didn't like take forever to do. I have all those. Kitesso, I don't really have the. Ooh, hello. So Battle Mage is level 32. So, yeah, all that is level 32, which means I can now hand in the... Oh, the same outfit is already stored in your glamour chest. Ah, okay, so... What about a armor matching this gear is available add to pre-existing? Yes, please. Hell yeah, stores a glamour. There we go. I love that they've introduced, like, this little thingamajiggy. And then we got the Cavalry, which is level 32 as well, but it doesn't look like we have all of it? I'll at least put it in, because then that way it's just one slot instead of a whole ton of them.
Yeah. Okay, so we already have the infantry outfit, so I can just desynthesize the infantry outfit. Battle Mage is... Yeah, Battle Mage is already there. And... Yeah, I don't think I have... Kitesso, Greaves, Offending, Nomads of Healing. So yeah, there's a whole ton of these, like, I want to get through the levels. My search for event ends thing is going bad. I need dopamine hits. Okay, alright. Shame about that. And yeah, I can't use that because I'm not in my home world. I can store... Oh, interesting. I can store the Vanguard brush? Interesting. I didn't know that was an option, honestly. And then this is all the augmented tackle gear. Augmented tackle gear. GrantZeebs, earring. Fisher, botanist, mining. And then the equipped. That's odd. I didn't think the armory would have had like those options available. All right. That is going to be it for me tonight, honestly. Because, you know, I'm just satisfied that I was able to get through patch 7.5, which is really good. There's all kinds of other stuff I can be doing in Final Fantasy XIV, but a lot of this I'm probably just going to do in my own time going forward. And I'm just going to keep to, you know, I'm going to keep to like the, oh no, I still have trials to go through. Shit. Nah, that one always takes forever to do because, yeah, those are always difficult to do, and it's like trying to like wait for things and what have you. So yeah, I still think this is like a good time to like finish off and what have you, honestly. So that way I'm not like exhausting myself because I have work the next day. Oh, so fun having work the next day. Yay. But yeah. But yeah, the next time I'm going to be streaming is going to be Wednesday night. I have more Gears of War 5 to get through. I'm not a huge fan of like the open worldness, to be honest with you. I'm not like the biggest fan of them doing open world stuff, but I do want to try and get through the story and what have you. So it's going to be a bit of a debate of figuring out whether I'm going to like ignore all of the side content and just go for main story. So then that way, like we get through all that, and I, you know, take whatever hits from not getting like special unlocks or anything like that, or if I'm just gonna do the side stuff while I'm off stream. I haven't yet figured it out, but I will hopefully by the next day or two. So yeah. In the meantime, let's go and see who is online and who we can go and raid. Oh my goodness, so many people. There is someone that has been going through the last 26 hours just playing Final Fantasy XIV, which is frankly insane. Holy shit. Do we want to go through more Final Fantasy stuff? I don't think so. I reckon what we'll do is we're going to go for... This is just on my recommended list. We're just going to go and raid into someone called Dill the Deer Fox. They look to be going through some Star Wars Jedi Survivor for May the 4th. So you know what? We're going to go with May the 4th. So we're going to go... That's going to be our raid message. May the 4th be with you. I'll do the arrival emote. So there we go. That's going to be our raid message for raiding into Dill the Deer Fox. Hopefully I'll see some of you joining in with me on that one. Velk, if you're still in the chat, thank you so much for helping me out in the trials. I greatly appreciate it. Davey Boy, same to you too. Savage, thank you so much for helping me in the trials, and thank you for sticking around to the end here. I greatly appreciate it. For everyone else, I want to say thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I will be back online Wednesday night for some Gears of War 5. If that's not your fancy, Friday night we're going to be going through the last of Pragmata, and then Sunday morning is more Diablo with Code and Velk Torem. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. And if I don't see you on any of those, if I don't see you Wednesday night, I hopefully will see you all next time. Bye for now.